Hi everyone, my name is Kevin. I'm a product manager on the LogMeIn Care support platform, and today I'll be walking you through the basic steps of installing LogMeIn Pro and/or Central on a work computer, setting up that computer so it can be accessed from home, and then finally accessing that computer from a home office location. Because most companies have varying degrees of what an employee is allowed to do on their work computer, I'll be walking through this process starting with a few assumptions. If at any time something doesn't appear to you, or you receive an error, I will be addressing the most common of these issues and how to resolve them at the end of the video. Here are a few of my assumptions as I get started. Number 1, you're an admin on your work computer. This is important for two reasons. So A, you will need the ability to install the LogMeIn software on your work computer. Some companies prevent users from installing software themselves, in which case you will need someone in IT with proper permissions to help you install the software. And then B, you will also need an admin to grant you permission to remote control your computer. If you're an admin, you'll have this capability inherently. If not, you will need to contact someone in IT to grant you permission to remote control your work computer. The second assumption is that you or someone has physical access to your work computer to install the software. With offices closing in response to the COVID-19, this is vital if you haven't used LogMeIn Pro or Central in the past. So if this is your first time using the product, please make sure that there is someone available at your work computer if you're not there directly. And then assumption number 3 is that you have 4 key pieces of information to start a remote control session. This includes your LogMeIn ID or email, your LogMeIn password, your username of your work computer, and the password of your work computer. We'll talk a little bit more about these in just a few moments. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. For simplicity's sake, I took out a trial of LogMeIn Pro, which I'm going to use as the walkthrough for the installation process. For those of you who have LogMeIn Central, you will likely see additional options on the far left of the screen, but the process of adding a computer is identical. So step number 1, installing LogMeIn on your work computer. The computer I'm sitting at right now, which I am using to create this video, this is my work computer. I will refer to this as my work computer in setting up a work from home environment. So here on my work computer, I'm going to install LogMeIn. First, I'm going to open up the web and navigate to logmein.com, where I'll start by logging in to my new account. Remember I mentioned a moment ago about 4 bits of information that you need for this to work? Well, if you can sign in, then you have the first 2 pieces of information right here. Your email is the LogMeIn ID, and your password is your LogMeIn password. If you're like me, you likely just set this up when you started a trial or purchased a subscription. Once I'm logged in, I land here on my computers page. As I haven't added any computers yet, this page will appear empty. If I navigate to the top, I see the option to add the computer. I have 2 options. I can add this computer or I can add a different computer. I'm going to click Add This Computer as I'm sitting at my work computer right now. You'll notice that as I click Download Installer, the installer comes down here in the form of an MSI file. If I double-click on that, it's going to prep the installation process. First which comes up is the license agreement, so I'll select that I agree to those terms and continue. Next, it will show my LogMeIn ID, so I am the account holder, so I'm going to go ahead and continue here. And I'm going to stay with a typical recommended installation. We don't really need to do anything custom here because we're just going to be accessing the computer. I'm going to call this computer, this is the default computer name, CENTCOM. I'm going to call it that, and I'll just keep going. But I could, of course, change that name here if I'd like. Program files is fine. And now I start the installation process. Something I'd like to call out, here's your 3rd piece of information. So this is my full name here. I'm going to blank this out for the video, but ultimately this is going to be the username I'm going to need when I want to access this computer in the future. So here I'm getting a user access control. I want to say yes to allow to make changes. And after a few seconds, it will install, and I should get a success message here in just a moment. Okay, so now I have my installation successful screen has just popped up, which is excellent. It does retain, again, my username here, which I will need a little bit later, and of course my password for this computer, which I just know by heart. So I'm going to go ahead and click Finish, and two boxes are going to likely show up. Perfect. So here we can see the LogMeIn control panel, which is ultimately the software that enables the remote control process to happen. So here I can see my computer as I named it. I can see it's currently accessible. So the LogMeIn software is actually running on this machine, and it will enable me to access this machine from another location. If you are unsure or don't see this screen here, usually by default the LogMeIn icon, which is blue with white circles in it, will show up in your little area down here in your system tray. So go ahead and just check for that if you don't see it. But ultimately, double-clicking this will bring up this LogMeIn control panel screen. I can close out of my setup wizard because I'm all finished with this. And if I go back to my computers page, we're going to see now that CentCom has been added, and it's been online for 3 minutes. So at this point, I am now ready to go home. I can go into my home office, and I can connect to this computer from my home office. So now that I'm on my home computer, I can start remote controlling my work computer by logging in at logmein.com. Once I sign in, I'm brought to the same page where I left off at work, with my CentCom computer listed here in my account. To start a remote control session, I'm going to simply click on the blue or green computer icon or its name. I'm immediately brought to another login screen where I need to enter my work computer credentials. These are the same credentials that were displayed during the installation process, which I blurred on the screen earlier. I enter the password for my work computer, and just like I'm sitting at it, I'm taken to the verification screen. I'm now officially connected to the back end of my work computer. You'll notice the LogMeIn client has downloaded as a zip at the bottom, or you may see another additional notification for running the LogMeIn client app in the browser. I'm going to go ahead and launch this to start the remote control session. After a quick connection dialog, I am able to access my computer at work just like I was sitting in front of it. When I'm finished, to end the remote session, simply click the X in the top right corner of the window, or if you're in full screen, the black options menu along the top of the screen. If prompted, select End Session. You're brought back to the screen we saw immediately prior to our remote control session. I recommend as a best practice to click Disconnect on this screen and return to the home page before you close your browser window.